All right, Steve, I picked out our new contract, and I've got really good news for you. For this first mission, you don't even have to hit anything with your weapons. All you need to do is run away, right? Use your legs and run. Run, run, run. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Welcome back, everyone, to my Hotspots Draconis Reach campaign. This is the first track of my second contract. We have made our way to the next hotspot in Xhosa, I think is how you say it, Xhosa 7. And I'm going to do things a little bit differently here for this playthrough. I'm going to make it a little more raw. And yep, that's right. You see a paper map before you. No 3D terrain whatsoever. Bear with me. So what I realized in my previous missions is that when you have scale 1 forces on both sides, your average scale is 1, and you're supposed to use one single map sheet for the track. And I had been using my own field tech maps, which are 2 of these side by side, basically the same width of those. And so I kind of felt like maybe I was doing myself or the opposing force a disservice by having a map that was bigger than it was supposed to be. There is a lot of debate of whether one map sheet is the right way to play scale 1, but that's what the rules say, and I am making this campaign mostly as a tutorial video series, so I wanted to show what it would be like to play it right out of the book, and I wasn't doing that. I am very sorry about that. So I'm going to give it a try. We're going to use a paper map here. I selected this randomly from the hotspot. This is the Woodland map. I got this from the Mercenaries box set, I think, or it came from the Savannah's map pack. I don't remember which one. I think it looks really nice. I like paper maps a lot. I have no problem with them. I know a lot of YouTubers don't like them at all and they refuse to use them. I have absolutely no problem with them, and I think these are really nice. We're going to give it a try. Let me know if you hate it and you want the 3D terrain back. No problem. I will do it. There were also a couple of other things I did wrong, which were I was rolling the complications for my force and the opposing force before I even selected mine. And you're not supposed to do that. You roll complications after you pick your force, and you're supposed to roll the opposing force after you do that as well, because sometimes the opposing force is going to take things like a heavy air cover, and then you can decide to not bring any airstrikes. So that way they can't use those cards, and that's not really fair. So I made my force, and it's a recon mission. That's what we're playing in the first track. We are going to be prioritizing getting away from things. Well, Mr. Steve and Miss Ember here, they are not good at that. They have slow mechs, so getting away is not easy. They do have jump jets, which is helpful. So I picked a couple of speedier units, but I had to keep the point value down. We only have 38 battlefield support points to work with here. So I picked a Condor, just the base one. Again, trying to keep that point value down. It can move 8 points per turn, so decent, not great, but it's okay. Of course, we've nerfed battlefield support assets, so hover tanks are basically as slow as a mech at this point. Love that. And I got a Skulker. I just love the Skulker. I have to have it in every mission now. And it has 7 movement points. Wheeled, they'll have to avoid the trees, which is going to be really tough on this map. But I wanted to have a couple vehicles that could get away if they needed to. We basically have to just keep away here and prevent the attackers from scanning us. That is our ultimate goal. I'll give you the specifics in just a minute. Our complication for this track, and you know I love these complications. They were so good for us in the last hotspot. Actually, I love them. They give so much character to the tracks. It's really cool. But we have integrated command rights again, so we're getting really bumped up on this table. I'll put it on the screen. You must fight in an area of active geothermal activity that fills the air with steam, causing havoc with sensors and energy weapons not properly calibrated to the conditions. A +1 target number modifier, that's this orange dice right here in the middle, is applied to pulse and direct fire energy weapons. Well, that's great, because both of my mechs have pulse and direct energy, especially Ember. Those are her primary weapons. Your opponent does not suffer these penalties unless they also roll this complication. My understanding is you don't roll complications for the opposing force when you're playing this way. This is the take one for the team rule where you roll up an opposing force. So they don't have to worry about that. Yay. So a little bit of background here on the situation at this hotspot. Why is it a hotspot? So Xhosa 7, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is a frozen world for the most part. Along the equator, it's livable, and that's where most of the inhabitants are. But it gets a lot of activity from researchers who are studying frozen environments, or they have experiments that require constant cold. And they get a lot of tourism from the rich people who want to come here and ski because they can do that anytime. Most of the people seem to be pretty happy living in the Federated Suns, but unfortunately they're in this area that's kind of on the border in the Draconis Reach, and they've gotten themselves mixed in with the conflict. It's been changing hands back and forth. The Combine took it in the 3140s, The Federated Suns came back once Julian Davian made his way back to New Avalon, retook it, and then started carving back the Dragon's Tongue, reclaimed this planet. The Combine is still fighting for it, and the situation right now is that the Federated Suns have very limited supplies. They're having a hard time getting things to muster up their defense. And the Combine kind of has them in a corner where they're hoping they're going to be able to take them out and regain control of the planet. But what the Federated Suns don't know is that the Combine feels they don't have the military force necessary to actually finish the job. There's some politics going on, and the Combine wants to bring in mercenaries so that no other Combine units can share the glory of taking this planet. So that's why they hired us. And I feel kind of bad taking this side of the contract, but we're here for the money, and I think our force is better suited to be the attacker or the aggressor. We also get a lot of salvage rights, which is nice. So we're going to see how it goes this time. We didn't do so well defending. Lucky for us, we get a recon track to start, which doesn't allow for any salvage. So we get no support rights. So all the damage we take in this mission, we have to pay for. And there's no chance of getting any salvage, which was one of the benefits of the contract. Oh well, the good news is we might not get attacked a whole lot because their goal is to scan our units. And scanning is difficult in Draconis Reach. They have to start the scan in the physical attack phase. And the scan completes in the next turn at the end phase. So they have to go an entire turn, keeping that unit in range and in line of sight because they don't have probes, all the way through an entire turn of the game. In addition, they can't make weapon attacks in the following phase. So while they're waiting for that scan to complete, no weapon attacks. So this is going to be tough for them, but they probably won't be firing at us that much. As always, let me give you the track overview. As far as setup goes, the attacker picks their home edge. That would be the opposing force. That's being controlled by aces, so they can't really do that. But they're going to take this side because it's nice and open. They'll have more options for figuring out where they want to go. So I think we're going to go ahead and take this nice wide open edge over here. Or actually, maybe this one would be better. Yeah, you know what? We're going to take this one. All right, this is going to be our home edge. This is where we can escape from. The defender gets to set up anywhere on the battlefield. So I've already done that. 50% of my force at least, and this is by number of units, so 2 units here, have to be within hexes that are fully within the half of play area closest to the attacker's home edge. So that would be from here down. The attacker then will come on their edge in turn 1 during the movement phase. So as for objectives, the orders, these are the minimum things you can do to get combat pay. For the attacker, scan at least 1 defender unit. That's it. They get 50 victory points for that. For the defender, at least half of our units must remain on the battlefield and survive the first 2 turns. And that means they cannot be destroyed. It's okay if they shut down. It's okay if they're crippled. None of that matters. They just have to survive the first 2 rounds. If they do that, we get 50 victory points. Now, the way the other objectives work is the attackers are going to try to get objectives. We're going to try to keep them from getting objectives. So their first one is identify the opposition, scan at least 2/3 of the defender's starting force measured by number of units. So that means they're going to have to scan 3 of them. Preemptive strike, destroy or cripple at least 25% of the defender's starting force by battle value. So that means they're going to have to take out one of the mechs. Observe and report at least 50% of the attacker's starting force must survive and exit their home edge anytime after 4 turns. So once we get past turn 4, they are allowed to exit, and that lets them go report what they found. But that has to be 50% by battle value, and that's their starting force. Everything is talking about starting force. As a defender, any attacker objectives not met by the end of turn 8 are counted for the defender instead. Any defender units which withdraw from their home edge prior to turn 8 are counted as scanned and destroyed for objective purposes. So if Ember has a bad time and she decides to head out, that is going to count as a scanned unit for the attacker. And just before I forget, I'm going to mark our home edge. That's it. Should be an interesting track. I mean, the map we rolled up looks like it's really suited for us. It's got lots of places to hide, lots of mountains we can jump over to get out of their way. So I feel like we should be able to do this. The forces. I already showed you the battlefield support assets. Got the Condor and the Skulker. Probably should have picked faster units. We, of course, have Steve and his Victor. It's a great mech, but he's not using it well. It has a Gauss rifle, 2 medium pulse lasers, and an SRM-4. Walk 4, run 6, and jump 4. So he's going to need to use that to keep away here, especially on this condensed map. We've got Ember in her Blackjack BJ2, 2 ER large lasers, and 4 Streak SRM2s. Those large lasers are going to be impacted by the geothermal energy that's messing with our sensors, and Steve's 2 medium pulse lasers will be affected by that as well. Hopefully I remember that. On the enemy side, we've got an Enforcer, ENF5R. Looks like a pretty awesome mech. It's got a large re-engineered laser, an LBX-10, and an ER small laser. This is just like a really cool upgraded version of the classic Enforcer. Still has a large laser and an AC-10, but they're just nice upgraded ones. They both get a -1 to hit, if I understand the rules correctly. So look out. And those LBX ones are always fun because you get to roll a ton of dice to see where they hit. They also have a Shadowhawk SHD 6D. Has a large re-engineered laser, a medium re-engineered laser, a multi-missile launcher 5, which they can shoot SRMs or LRMs, and a Streak SRM2, but that's a one-shot. By the way, if you're curious, I rolled this in my Between Tracks video, and then I said I'm going to re-roll it. Well, I re-rolled the exact same force, which I thought was funny. Anyway, both of the Shadowhawks re-engineered lasers get a -1 to hit, so a lot of -1s on this side. The other unit, they only have 3, is a Striker light tank. This is a new unit with a battlefield support card in the book. I had to print it out because, of course, these cards are hard to come by. There you go. It's not very fast. It has poor range, and it has a check of 8. If you're curious, they are on the Star Captain deck. They do have a light bombing card. I'm going to keep it tucked in here so I don't forget, because last time I forgot. I don't know how useful this will be. I mean, they're not supposed to destroy things. I guess they can once they're done scanning, but ideally they want to leave things alive. So attacking the assets with that might not be a good idea. The Enforcer's on the Brawler deck. The Shadowhawk is on the Skirmisher deck. I am going to treat all of the units as though they are movement objectives, and the aces want to overlap them by being within 4 hexes. That's the scanning range. That will continue until they successfully scan that unit. Until they do that, they want to be within 4 hexes, and once they start a scan, that unit is their only movement objective. I think these are pretty logical changes to the ACES system. Let me know if you disagree. Time to get started. Like I said, I will be the red dice this time. Someone told me to ditch the yellow dice. Well, I'm giving them to them this time. Yeah, Steve hasn't had much luck with the yellow dice for the Gauss rifle. Here we go. Oh, tie. Ooh, that's always a good sign. When the first initiative rolls a tie, it's a good sign. Yes, that's what I like to see. They have to go first, which really stinks for them. So one thing I forgot to mention as part of this campaign series, I'm trying to play it the way this game is going to be played, the way Catalyst wants it to be played when the core product releases come out in August 2026. I am playing in the ilClan era, which all the Hotspots books use. I'm using battlefield support assets, as you saw, the simplified version of vehicles and infantry, and other types of units. And I'm also going to try to play with the core rules updates. A new core rulebook is coming in August as well. It's going to have some changes to the rules. I'm trying to incorporate as many as I can based on the changelog that they provided. It's not going to be perfect because I don't know exactly what will be in the book, but given what they've offered, I think I can adjust in places where it makes sense. But to that point, we have 4 units, they have 3, so they're going to move 1 unit, and then we're going to move 2 units. That's front-loaded initiative. Let's get started. I'll do movement, I'll summarize, and we'll get into combat. All right, there's our first round of movement. We really held out and made sure that we got to see where the aces went. Got to take advantage of this initiative. The Enforcer went first. It wanted to get close to that Condor. You know, it could overlap it where it was originally. It was able to overlap the movement objective, but it wanted cover, so I put it in the woods here. It just wasn't going to have enough to run past it and keep within scanning range. So then I moved it up just a little bit there to get it, so it only has the 1 woods to hit through. Then I had to move a second unit, and I realized I miscalculated on the Skulker, and I was only able to get it here. The Shadowhawk was able to key on that and move close enough to scan, so that unit will be scanning. Once those 2 moved, and this only has 5 movement points, I was able to jump Steve up here to the top, look out over everything. He can use his jumping jack ability. I'll show you the pilot cards in a minute. I forgot to do that. And then the Striker just kind of went there. Wasn't a whole lot I could do. It keyed on the Condor. That left Ember here. She could just walk down and get a good shot at the Shadowhawk. A couple adjustments I'm going to have to make. Number one is that if the aces try to target a unit for movement that already has something overlapping it, I'm going to let them pick something else, or at least move towards something else to try to get into scanning range. The other thing is for combat here, if it wants them to shoot at these battlefield support assets, I think I'm going to tell them no. The problem is that you have no idea if those things will live or die. You know, if they shoot the Victor, there's very little chance it's going to get destroyed immediately. But they really don't want to kill my units right now, because if they do, everything's based on starting force. So they're going to make it harder to achieve their objectives. They're going to have less units they can chase to complete the objectives. So I feel like they should avoid the battlefield support assets. They're both pretty easy to kill, and just go after the mechs if they can. If that sounds weird, let me know, but I was just thinking about if they take these 2 battlefield support assets down, then they're left to deal with the mechs, and those are their only ways to achieve objectives. Here are my pilot cards. Steve and Ember got a few more points last time. We weren't successful, but they still got some points. I just basically put some in gunnery and some in piloting. So Ember has 3 edge tokens. Steve has 2. Same edge abilities. She has marksman, which increases her critical chance, and coolant flush, which lets her cool down in between turns, which is very important for her. And then Steve has jumping jack, which lets him reduce his jumping penalty. He also has forward observer, which I don't think we'll be using. Yeah, nobody has indirect fire, so there's no real point to that edge ability. I really wouldn't have picked it if I started over, but he already had that from my Scouring Sands campaign, so I brought it over. All right, that's it. We're going to get into combat. I think we're probably going to focus on... Actually, I don't know. We might just try to take this thing out if we can. It only has a check of 8. If Steve could actually hit something, he might be able to take that out on the first turn. Ember's going to go after the Shadowhawk. The Skulker's going to go after the Shadowhawk. So I think these 2 are going to go for that, and these 2 are going to go for that. All right, the Enforcer is up first. It is going to go for the Victor. Doesn't even need the modification to the battlefield support assets. Wants the Victor anyway. This is the pilot that has the upgraded skill from the handicap, so it's got a 3 gunnery. Just needs 7s to hit its large re-engineered laser and LBX-10 autocannon. Maybe you should have just kept Steve down on the ground there. Hopefully you can use your imagination to see him way up high on the hill. Anyway, LBX is the yellow. Large re-engineered is the blue. Needs 7s for each. Hits the large re-engineered laser coming in on the front. This does 9 damage. Right torso. The striker is up next. It has short range weapons. It's going to be in long range. Going to need a 12 to hit Steve. Also wants Steve, regardless of my rules. So there you go. Does 8 damage if it hits. So it'd be a miracle hit. Nope, just got a 6. Finally, we have the Shadowhawk. Also wants the Victor. Wants most armor lost, and it's the only thing that has lost armor. Funny, I made that big deal about my rules change, and it didn't matter. So I decided to do this too to help. It's going to fire a medium re-engineered laser, needs an 11. Large re-engineered laser needs a 9, and it's going to use the MML for LRMs, needs an 8. All right, let's see if Steve is going to get a piloting skill check. Holy crap, those are horrible numbers. Got absolutely nothing. Steve, perched high above the battlefield. Use your imagination. He's actually going to attack the Enforcer. I changed my mind because the target number is much better. I'd like to take that support asset out, but there's some merit to getting a pounding on this Enforcer. He's going to use an edge token to get rid of the jumping penalty, at least one of them, using his jumping jack special ability. Going to need 7s for the Gauss rifle, 11s for the SRM4. There you have it. Edge token. Paid. 11 on the SRM4, 7 on the Gauss rifle. Let's go, Steve. Turn it around. Ooh, that doesn't look good. I gotta rewatch. I don't know which is which. I'm pretty sure that was it. If that's the case, I think I'll spend his other edge and bump it up to make that hit. Yeah, the 4 was it. There we go. He has a chance to hit something. We're gonna go for it. All right, what if watch him roll a 12 and head cap this thing? Yeah, coming in on the front. No. Right leg, although leg shots are good. Enforcer has 21 armor on that leg. That is a beefy medium mech. But hey, 15 damage is nothing to sneeze at. Only has 6 armor left. The Condor, while we're over here, is going to hit that Striker. Going to need 10s to hit. It does 3 groupings of 5 damage. So if any of these hit a 10, we'll get a chance. Oh, nothing. So close. 2 9s. Ember's up next. Tough to manage this mech. I like it a lot, but in this situation, she can't afford to overheat at all. She needs her full movement ability, so she's just going to fire the 2 ER large lasers. She has probably the best number she's going to get, 9s. She's got that woods in the way. This hex, it's just going through the line there. She has the +1 for direct energy weapons because of this geothermal thing going on. So she needs 9s for both of these coming in on the right side. I was thinking of using the streaks, but she'll overheat by way too much. Here we go, need 9s. Let's go, Ember. Ooh, Ember, you usually come through, but not this time. All right, we'll get the Skulker out of the way. Can do a max of 5 damage. Gonna need an 11 here. Nope. Not our best round. Ironically, Steve is the only one who actually hit, so that's kind of funny. He's been having so much trouble. Got 15 points on the Enforcer. We'll take it. Now we're in the physical attack phase. Nothing can do physical attacks, but we're going to do some scanning. The Shadowhawk is going to scan the Skulker. I'm going to throw this on there just as a reminder that it is scanning. If it wants to hold the scan, it has to stay within 4 hexes and line of sight of the Skulker. Cannot use weapon attacks next round. Nothing else can scan. The Enforcer's close to this, but it's outside of 4 hexes, so no luck there. Heat-wise, Ember is going to go up to 3 points of heat. Every time she fires those 2 lasers, she's going to overheat. She'll hold on the coolant flush for now, doesn't really need it, so let me get this cleaned up. And by the way, as far as heat goes, these 2 are really heat efficient. They have tons of double heat sinks. I think this has 20 or 22, and this has 22. I don't know, something in the 20s. I think even if they fire everything, they still can't overheat. Maybe the Shadowhawk can get close, but heat's not going to be a big issue for them. All right, let's roll up initiative again. We win again. Excellent. All right, so same thing. They'll go, we'll move 2, and then it's 1 for 1. All right, there is the movement for round 2. It was actually pretty interesting. We started with the Striker, which didn't have a lot of options, but it keyed on the Condor, which was the closest. Just use its full movement to get overlapping with it, but of course I can move it away. Then I thought I had a great idea where I was going to jump the Victor to about here, and my thinking was that I'd make the Shadowhawk use more movement to try to chase the Skulker, but I forgot that the Shadowhawk has jump jets, so that wasn't really going to work. My change then was to jump it backwards to make sure nothing could get in range of Steve. Then I moved the Skulker as far as I could. This is really tough up here. Using one map sheet, I can't go on those edges with the Skulker or with the Condor. The Shadowhawk then wanted to overlap the Skulker, of course. It also wanted to get in the woods, so I was able to move it basically straight ahead into the woods there. And then, of course, it's in range for the Skulker, so unless we destroy this thing, they will successfully scan that Skulker, which is too bad. Once that moved, I brought Ember to here, and then the Enforcer wanted to overlap the Condor as well, use its full movement. I actually marked it with a black dice this time. Last time I did a white one, and I miscalculated its target number, but it ended up not mattering. And then I moved the Condor away to get it out of scanning range. It's actually sharing a hex with Steve up there. It's 5 hexes away. I also just wanted to really quickly show you the updated cards. The one good thing about me doing this over the course of several days is that I can watch what I've done and catch mistakes. I didn't update the cards from my after tracks activities. They have more points. They both have a piloting skill of 3 now. They upgraded after the last track. Their handicaps are higher, but everything is all good. I mentioned the Enforcer has a gunnery upgrade. I gave the piloting upgrade to the Shadowhawk. I like to split them up, not give them all to one unit. I don't know. Maybe I should make one super powerful unit, but I just generally like to split them up. All right, with that, let's get into combat. We should be able to focus fire on the Shadowhawk. I don't know if anything will come of it, but we can at least take a crack. All right, the Striker's up first, looking past his ally there at Steve. Long range here, gonna be terrible numbers. Needs a 12, does 8 damage if it hits. Here we go. Hey, I rolled a lot of 12s in the Alpha Strike battle that I just did. Nope. All right, the Shadowhawk can't attack because it's scanning, so the Enforcer is gonna fire at Steve as well. Gonna have real good numbers on this. The LBX is in short range, only 6 hexes away. Oh boy, could have some crit seekers coming up. All right, the yellow is the LBX, and the blue is the re-engineered large laser. Here we go. The LBX hits, the re-engineered laser misses this time. All right, now we're going to roll up on the cluster table and see how many of these 10 little BBs are going to hit. Ooh, that's a good roll. Got my fistful of dice. Everything's coming in on the front side. They're looking for 2s and 12s. They don't. Oh, yeah, they did. They got attack right there. Now, I'm using the core rules changes, which says that floating criticals are standard now, yet still optional, whatever that means. But I'm going to play it like it's standard, so I'm going to re-roll that to see where it hits. Let me sort the rest of this out. So we got 2 to the left torso, 1 to the center torso, 2 to the right arm, 1 to the right leg, 1 to the left leg. I'm going to re-roll this, and they're going to get a critical chance. It's going to go to the left leg as well. So we got another 1 on the left leg. Let me tally up that damage, and then we'll roll a critical. Okay, when you have these LBXs, they don't do much damage. Clusters get spread all over the place, so you got to make these criticals count. Needs an 8 or higher. Nope, didn't make it count. All right, it's our turn. Steve's going to go first. I did want to target the Shadowhawk, but it's sitting in woods, and it has 2 extra hexes of light woods. So I instead declared for the Enforcer, which is going to be a much easier target, 8 for the Gauss rifle, 10s for the SRM4s, and 11s for the medium pulse lasers. I might be in danger of overheating here, but that's okay. As long as he doesn't get a movement point reduction, we're good. All right, here we go. Gauss rifle, SRM4, medium pulse lasers. This really does make it easier to remember. Looking for some big numbers here. Oh, he hit the Gauss rifle. Excellent. He missed everything else, but that's okay. Got the big one. Steve, you're redeeming yourself this time. Coming in on the front side. Let's see right leg, baby. Give me a 5. Oh, center torso. Okay, 15 to the center torso. Condor's also going for the Enforcer. Does 3 groups of 5 damage. Gonna need 10s. So, gotta love these assets. They pretty much can't get good numbers. Needs 10s on any of these. Again, oh, holy cow. See, all I have to do is jinx it. Oh, they can't hit anything. And then they get 2 clusters. Awesome. All right, well, that's going to be a piloting skill check on the Enforcer. Luckily, that doesn't have the piloting upgrade. All right, 2 more coming in on the front. We want to see 5s and 7s. Or 8s and 11s, same thing. Okay, that's 5 to the left arm and 5 to the left torso. The Skulker will attack the Shadowhawk. It wants to get revenge for this scanning activity. Gonna need 10s to hit. Like I said, assets can never hit anything. Does 1 group of 5 damage. Needs a 10. Nothing. All right, and last up is Ember. She is firing through a bit of woods at the Shadowhawk in the back. Gonna use both of her ER large lasers. Just needs 9s to hit them. And then she's gonna coolant flush and get rid of that heat, because that's gonna generate a lot of heat. All right, 2 ER large lasers. Need 9s. Come on, Ember. No, Ember, what is happening? Not even an 8 that I could bump up to a 9. All right, Shadowhawk's going to complete the scan. All right, we are in the physical attack phase. Obviously, nothing is in range to do a physical attack on an enemy unit. There are a couple that could do it to their own units, but I don't think they want to do that. That takes us into the heat phase. Steve built up 1 heat. Ember built up 4 additional heat. She's going to spend an edge token to flush it. That will keep her at 3 heat. Man, that mech is tough to manage. Wow, does it overheat like crazy. And unfortunately, we can't lose movement in this particular mission, at least not yet. So I got to keep her cool as long as possible. Okay, we are in the end phase. Shadowhawk will complete its scan of the Skulker. So it has successfully scanned that unit. That will no longer be a movement objective for the aces. They will prioritize the other 3. They also can destroy the Skulker if they would like to. So if the card tells it to target the Skulker, they will do that now. It doesn't help them with their objectives. They can only destroy non-assets as part of their objective for destroying units. Here we go. Initiative. We win again. These red dice are lucky for the initiative. Okay, that's huge for us. We need it. I almost forgot. At the end of the weapon attack phase, the Enforcer needed to make a piloting skill check. Needs a 5. Oh, it fails. That's big. So that's going to take it out of the game here for trying to chase us down. So it's going to fall. Now we're playing core rules. So that means I'm going to roll 1d6. If I roll a 1, it falls on its back. Anything else, it just falls forward in its current facing. Oh, it actually falls on its back. That's too bad. I wanted it to fall on the front. Try to hit the center torso. Okay, it falls backwards. The pilot now needs to make a seatbelt check, as it's called. Now, what's changing in the core rules is that the damage modifier that I just used to see if it falls does not apply to the seatbelt check. So this is a straight 4 to avoid a wound. It failed that too. Okay, so it takes a wound, and now it rolls to stay conscious. Wow, if I keep rolling like this, maybe they'll fall unconscious. Needs a 3 or higher. All right, it got that one. So it falls, it takes a wound. Now we're going to roll to see where it applies damage. So this is a 50-ton mech, so this is easy. It's just 5 points of damage applied to the rear. That's going to be to the right arm, 5 points of damage. Always mark your units, folks, if you're forgetful like me. If you're smart and you can remember everything, great. All right, I'm going to cut in here because the movement's getting more interesting as we get close quarters and the objectives start coming into play. Both sides have achieved their order. They scanned 1 unit, and we have survived the first 2 turns. We both have 50 victory points right now. All right, the striker moved up to overlap with Steve. And then I decided to just jump Ember up here. She really couldn't get in position to attack anything. I hate to keep jumping because it makes it so hard for her to actually cool off. I do need to mark her as jumping 3 hexes. There we go. I am going to make the Enforcer's roll at this point. It will be running. It says to use ground movement, but obviously in a situation like this, it wants to run just in case. If it falls and it has to get up again, we want to make sure it has as many movement points as it can get. 2 changes here from the core rules. Number 1, there's a -1 modifier to standing. So this unit will only have to roll a 4 to stand up. And now as I'm saying that, I'm realizing I goofed up the other calculations. This unit has a piloting skill of 5. So it's actually a 6 to stay standing. It failed anyway. and it would have been a 5 for the seatbelt check, which it failed anyway, but just pointing out, I actually did those wrong. In any case, this time it will be a 4 because it has a piloting skill of 5. It gets a -1 to standing, so it will be a 4. There also is no heat generated for standing. In Total Warfare, you get 1 point of heat for each stand attempt. In the core rules update, that is going away, mostly because people just forget it. All right, needs a 4 to stand up. It's running. Whoa, it got it. Okay, so it gets to stand up. I think it will stay in its current facing. That's where it's going to go. I'll take care of the aces card, but most likely it's just going to move up towards Steve. Just want to get as many units overlapping things as possible here. All right, there's your movement. The Enforcer wanted to be able to attack everything possible. So by moving up to here, it can attack every single unit on the board for the enemy. So at this point, it's time to just kill stuff. So Steve is going to do what he does best, get up in something's face, blast him with a Gauss rifle, maybe punch or kick, and we're just going to see if we can take this Enforcer out. It has armor damage almost everywhere. It's not in great shape. We could punch a hole through it. If things don't go well with the damage, he might be able to just kick the Striker and take that out. Shadowhawk is up first. It's going to unload into Steve. Go figure. Everything always wants to attack Steve. It's going to fire its large re-engineered laser, its medium re-engineered laser, its MML5 using SRMs, and its Streak SRM2 one-shot. Got all that? Gonna need 6s for the missiles, just gonna need 5s for the lasers. Steve is gonna get hurt. Everything's in short range here. There are your numbers. The only one I need to re-roll is the SRM5 if it hits. For clusters, the Streak hits automatically both missiles. All right, here we go. 6s and 5s. Got everything. Got to re-roll this one. For clusters, got an 8. I'm guessing that's 3 missiles. All right, it is 3 missiles, so we're going to have 5 total SRMs hitting for 10 damage. We're going to have these 2 lasers hitting for, I think, 9 and 6. So that's going to be a piloting skill check on good old Steve. Luckily, he has a very low piloting skill of 3. Going to be a lot of damage. Going to be a lot of dice to roll out. Here we go. The blue is a large, green is a medium, everything else is an SRM. Oh my god, that's 2 headshots. Oh no, Steve! Steve! That's going to go internal. Oh, this was a bad idea. Potential catastrophe has struck. I've never seen so many 6s on a roll in my life. Unbelievable. That's 9 damage. That's 2 damage. All the head armor is gone. It goes 2 internal. Steve can't even get to his escape edge. Well selected by me. He's going to have to get 2 wounds from this. He's got 2 to the right arm, 8 to the right leg, 2 to the center torso, 2 to the left torso. So much damage, and he's going to have to make piloting skill checks on this. Okay, I went to check on the consciousness rolls for 2 hits. I'm not sure that's happened to me in a long time, but this is a change in the core rules. So the original rules said you would make each consciousness check separately. So I'd make the one for 1 hit, and then I'd make another one for the 2nd hit. The core rules is updating that to simplify it. You just make the highest avoid number, which is a 5. Steve needs to make a 5 to stay conscious. He does. Whew, he is 1 pip in the head away from dying. Now we're going to make a critical check, so he may yet still die. This is the SRM that hit the head and went internal. Needs an 8 or higher to do a critical hit. It got it. Okay. He's basically got a 1 out of 6 chance of dying here. I'm pretty sure a 3 is the cockpit. Yeah, luckily he's got a heat sink in slot 4, so he does have an extra crit to soak. But if we roll a 3, Steve is dead. That's going to suck for Snowblind. You can tell I'm panicking here. He has no edge left. Smart move by me. Here we go. He's dead. Steve has died. Unbelievable. They destroy the unit. The good thing is they have 1 less unit they can scan. But unfortunately, this is the end of Steve and his victor. Steve, you were a great man. You did so well in Apalakia, but unfortunately, your time with the 3 Sparks Company has come to an end. You will join Miser as another member of the team on the memorial wall. Poor Steve. And that sucks because he's a pretty good named pilot, and I'm going to lose him. Death to the snakes. Every day's a good day when a snake dies. Steve, with his dying breath, I can't believe I'm saying this, going to attack the Enforcer with everything. Luckily, I was just going to do an all-out assault, so he'll get all of his weapons in. All right, well, here are the numbers. 6 for the Gauss rifle, 4 for the SRMs. The pulse lasers are auto hits. Nope, they're not. Oh, I forgot about the +1. Sorry, they're not. They're going to be 3s. All right, he hit the Gauss rifle as his last act. And yeah, got everything. With his last shot, he got everything. Let's see if he can take this thing down. Okay, that'll be 3 missiles. This is all coming in on the front. This is going to be a piloting skill check on this guy. Come on, Steve. Head cap him with the yellows. Got 1-6, but not 2. Okay, so there's what we got. 6 in the center torso, 2 in the right torso, 19 in the left torso. Of course, this thing has case 2, so I don't think there's any ammo or anything. Need to re-roll this and see where the other 6 damage goes and the critical chance. Okay, left leg, not the right leg, unfortunately. All right, let me tally this damage and then we'll roll the critical check. So we got 2 critical checks on the left torso, 1 on the left leg. Need 8s or higher. Oh my gosh, we got a lot. Oh, we almost blew the leg off. Hold on, that was an 11, so that's 2 to the left leg and 2 to the left torso. Wow, just just about as bad as you could get. 2 jump jets and a double heatsink. That's it. Did do an incredible amount of damage, though. The Enforcer is not in great shape. And in the next round, they can start moving toward their escape edge and try to get off of the map. That would win the mission for them. Skulker needs a 7 to hit. 5 measly points of damage on the Enforcer. Got it. Let's get that left torso. Oh, right torso. Lots of armor over there. We'll let Ember go. The numbers are worse than I thought. I forgot about that geothermal thing. Going to be 11s to hit her 2 ER at large lasers. You know what? I'm going to let that count. It was a 6. Going to let that count. You got a problem with that? Talk to Steve. Oh, Steve's dead. Never mind. All right, going to roll these up. Needs 11s. Oh, okay. She did get 1. Thanks to my, house rolling that there. Coming in on the front. Roll an 8, Ember. Ugh, right arm. Lastly, the Condor is going to go after the Shadowhawk. 3 groups of 5 damage. Needs 8s on them. Holy cow, this Condor is going crazy. All right, 2 groupings of 5 damage. Wow, another 2. Rolling a lot of 2s and 12s. So 5 are going to the right torso. Oh, 5 are going to the center torso, and we get a critical chance. Oh, could we roll a 12? Nothing. All right, everyone, pour one out for Steve. Had some great memories with this guy, but they unfortunately come to an end. He gave everything to the 3 Sparks Company. You can hear taps playing in the background. So sad. All right, well, physical attack phase. Shadowhawk is going to scan the Condor. Obviously, nothing else can scan now that Steve is dead. No physical attacks will happen. You know, Ember's starting to feel real bad. She's been giving Steve a hard time lately about his inability to hit things. He's hit everything in this battle, and she's not been that great. Kind of ironic, isn't it? The camera zooms in on Ember, tears welling in her eyes. Just for a minute. Then she puts on her stone face. All right, we're in the heat phase. The Enforcer, even with the loss of the double heat sink, still won't overheat or anything. It's just fine. Shadowhawk, I think, built up 2 heat, and Ember built up a lot of heat. I'm debating whether I want to spend an edge token to have her cool off. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think I'm just going to run her off the map. We can't win at this point. With Steve being dead, that is going to accomplish their preemptive strike objective, which is to destroy 25% of the defender's starting force, excluding assets. So he's our highest BV. He's gone, so they've gotten that one. They're at 150 right now. They would need to scan Ember and the Condor. It's probably going to be tough for them to get Ember, but observe and report after this round, they can do it. They can just start leaving. And they have to get 50% of their starting force off of their home edge. I mean, honestly, just the Enforcer and that Striker would be enough. Now, they won't be able to do that in 2 turns, but they can do it. I'll mark the Shadowhawk as scanning the Condor. Let's see what initiative comes up with. We win again. We're winning initiative like crazy, but you can't overcome those crazy cluster hits. All right, I'll see how movement goes. I mean, we get to see what they're going to do. It's just 1 for 1 at this point. I do have to roll. Dang it, I almost forgot again. But see, when I see that dice there, right there, I know I have to roll this. So let me remember this correctly. The Enforcer has a 5 piloting. This is going to be a 6 to stay standing. I should have done this at the end of the weapon attack phase. I apologize. I'm trying to teach the rules as I do this. Not doing a very good job. He stays standing, no problem. All right, so there's the end of movement. The Enforcer had to walk around that Skulker, so it couldn't get very far. I then just had Ember sit still, and then the Shadowhawk had to move. It tried to overlap. It was able to get to there. It will complete its scan. I mean, unless there's some crazy lucky shot like Steve. The Skulker then was able to get in front of the Enforcer. That will block it. So that will give Ember an opportunity to hit these because they're going to be significantly slowed down. So there's a chance. There is a chance. All right, let's get into combat. They're going to go first yet again. The Shadowhawk can't go, so it's just going to be the Enforcer and the Striker. I assume they're just going to go after the Skulker and try to blow it up. All right, they are both going after the Skulker, so I won't do any dramatic camera shots. We'll just get this over with quickly. Striker's going to attack. It's going to need a 9. So 6 for its skill and 3 for the TMM of the Skulker. Needs a 9. Got it. That's 8 points of damage. That is going to trigger a destroy check. And sorry, if you're rusty on your battlefield support, there's a threshold here. If any damage above that value triggers a destroy check. Right now, a 7 or higher would destroy this thing in the end phase. But the Enforcer, this bad boy, is going to go. Okay, we've got the LBX, the large re-engineered, and the ER small. This needs an 8. These need 7s. Wow, it actually missed everything. Holy cow. That's it for their side. All right, I'm going to let Ember go first. She has the biggest hitting weapons. Going to fire 2 ER large lasers. The line of sight, it's only going to count for this one that's adjacent to him. This one she's seeing over, and she's good on that one right next to her. Just 7s. Come on, Ember, do this. Ember coming through, trying to get revenge for Steve. Ember, roll some 8s, please. That's going to be right leg, which is good, and right torso, which is getting a little bit weak, but I don't think it's going to go internal. Yeah, unfortunately, the right torso was able to soak that, but gets a critical on the leg, but nothing. No luck there. Okay, so the Skulker is going to go. Just going to need a 7 to hit for 5 damage. Gets it. Could we roll an 8? Please, I want to do some engine damage. 8. 4. That's the right arm. That right arm is going to go internal. So we're going to get a critical chance here. Nothing. Nothing. See, that one I could have bumped with Ember. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. All right, well, the Condor can go. It's only 3 hexes away, so this is short range. So just going to need 8s. And this has been rolling high this whole game. Not so much this time. Just does 5 damage. Going to need a miracle here. Need a through armor critical on the center torso. Nope, just right leg for 5. That thing has so much armor. It's crazy. These 2 medium mechs are awesome. Love these 2. I wish they were on our side. And sorry, I'm just realizing that Ember would have been up to 8 heat, which is also a targeting penalty. So I'm going to use an edge to just bump up the 7 that she rolled to an 8. She would have needed 8s to hit those. So I would have used the edge to bump it up no matter what. So okay, she's down to 1 edge. Might have to use the coolant flush this time. Now, assets make their roll for destroy check at the end phase. So I don't do that now. So the Enforcer is going to try to kick the Skulker. Obviously, the cards don't tell you to do this, but there's no reason for it to not kick. We'll give it a go. Needs a 9. There you can see. It was good. You got it. All right. So that's a hit. There's no piloting skill checks for a vehicle, but that's going to do 10 damage. It's a 50-ton mech, so that does 10 damage. That's going to bump this up by 1. Watch me roll a 6 on this thing. All right, Ember's going to go up to a 10. That's going to keep that targeting penalty. I'm going to just spend the edge to get rid of the coolant flush. I'll probably regret that because she'll get some crazy critical to her head or something. But that's okay. I'm going to spend it. That would be a net -2 for her. She was going to overheat by 2. So that'll wash away the targeting penalty. But she'll still have the movement penalty. Hopefully that makes sense. Nothing else is overheating. The Shadowhawk, of course, is going to lose its heat because it did not attack. Nothing can scan. The Skulker's already been scanned. The Shadowhawk's going to scan the Condor. Nobody's in range of Ember. We're in the end phase. We're going to make a destroy check on the Skulker. Needs a 6. They missed it anyway. All right, that's going to degrade the Skulker. So just wrote a 6 on the card there. Next time, it just needs a 6. But that is going to block that Enforcer. That's going to make it really hard to move, which is going to increase the chances that maybe Ember can take it out. We also complete the scan of the Condor. That still doesn't accomplish the objective. They need to get 3 units because they have to do 2/3 of our force. Let's see if we can win it again. At least that's not our commander, so we don't get a -2. All right, they win it this time. That's unfortunate. All right, there's the movement. I moved the Condor up this way to the Shadowhawk just to make it harder for it to move. It wasn't hard enough, though. I couldn't get the Skulker here because it can't move through this and it can't move through woods. So I couldn't truly block it. The issue was that the Shadowhawk could get up onto here and definitely close enough to Ember to scan. So my only option was, after the Striker moved, I just jumped Ember back this way. This lets me make a decision on the next turn if I just want to get her out of here. The Enforcer had trouble moving because the Skulker was there, so it could only get to there. And then the Skulker was basically blocked, so it just got as close as it could just to take a pot shot at that Enforcer. All right, Skulker's going to go, needs a 7 to hit the Enforcer. Oh, man, that's horrible. All right, Condor's also going to go. Going to need an 8 because it's firing through the woods. Got one. Hit an 8. Yes, it got it. Okay, that's 5 damage. I think that's going to destroy its torso. Nope. Still has 2 points left. Okay, but we get a critical chance. Roll something high. Oh, man, nothing going our way. All right, so they're going to go. I'm going to check. If it doesn't have a weapon in its left arm, I'm going to have to move it back here and go like that. But it technically needed to be able to attack the condor at the end of its movement. Let me just double check that. Okay, it has weapons in its left torso. So if I follow the aces cards, someone told me quit babying the aces. So that's fine. I'll do it. I'll just move it there. It'll be able to fire everything into that condor. Cat attacking. All right, we're technically in the physical attack phase. Nothing can scan. These 2 units have already been scanned, so we're not going to do anything there. Heat, everything is down to 0 heat. Ember cooled off 18 points, so she is all good now. We are just going to roll a couple of destroy checks. Skulker first needs a 6 to destroy this. Gone. And we're going to roll for the Condor, needs a 7. Got a 6. Condor sticks around. Okay, got to make some hard decisions here of what I want to do. Ember can just walk off on this side. Just give them the win. They're going to get it anyway. They would technically get bonus pay if I did that because they would achieve all of their objectives. But I just don't see a path to victory here. I guess if we win initiative, I could see where they move and then decide if I can get up there on the Enforcer and try to take them out. As long as Ember can keep away and I could destroy those 2 units, we technically can win. Yeah, they win. So that's... Oh. But I can see who moves first. Let's see. Yeah, the Enforcer and the Shadowhawk are both going first. So that means I could see where they go before Ember moves. That is exciting. And I kind of want the Enforcer to move close so that Ember can get close to it. Maybe use some Streak SRMs finally. All right, that's where the movement ended up. I moved the Condor, and then the Shadowhawk was able to overlap Ember. And the Enforcer just wanted to chase the Condor and get as close as it could to Ember, but it can only do so much. That gave us a good spot right here for Ember. She was able to run up to here. She could get crunched here from the Shadowhawk, but that will give her a clean line right into that Enforcer with minimal modifiers. So she's going to get 1 crack at this thing. That would allow her on the next turn to go after the Striker. If we take those 2 out, she could jump her way off the board and we could somehow pull out the victory here. So there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. Ember is going to get her vengeance here. All right, I think we're going to go all out. Ember is going to fire everything into the Enforcer. We'll live with the consequences. Worst case, she'll get 2 movement point reduction unless she gets an engine hit, which would be real bad. But we're going to go for it. We're going to take this thing out. If we can take this out, I think we can get the Striker out of here. All right, we're going to go with the 2 ER large lasers first. Just going to be 6s to hit these. 8 damage each. Oh, come on, Ember. All right, just 1. You want to see a 7. Oh, 6. That's going to be coming in on the left side. It's going to be the right or the left leg. Unbelievable. It's like the one place on this unit that would not have a critical chance. You know, there's just some days it just isn't going to work for you. All right, she's going to do her SRMs. These are going to be 8s each. Streak SRMs. If they hit, both missiles hit. 8s. She whiffed on every single one of them. Okay, well, that was great. All right, this is going to go. Need 7s. 3 chances. Okay, the Condor can get it done. No, actually, it missed 1. All right, but it got 2. We need something good here. We need something good. Okay, that's good. Both of those go critical. Unfortunately, the Condor is not a crit seeker. Doesn't have that special ability, but we're going to get a critical on the center torso and a critical on the right torso. Right torso has ammo, but it has case, so it's not going to destroy the unit. Gets nothing anyway. I cannot believe it. I thought we were for sure taking that thing out this round. This Enforcer is a beast and a half. I mean, it's enforced withdrawal. It's completely crippled at this point. It has internal damage everywhere except its head, left arm, and left leg. Not enough, though. All right, now they get to unload on Ember. I'm sure they're all going to go for Ember. All right, the Enforcer is up first. LBX and large re-engineered are just going to be 6s to hit. She does have partial cover. The ER small is going to be an 11. This is going to hurt. Okay, both of those hit. This misses. This is going to really hurt. Okay, rolling up the clusters. A 9, that's 8. So we'll roll up a thing of 8, but we're going to do the re-engineered large first and see where that hits. That's going to go in the right torso. Blackjack hasn't been touched yet, so that's going to be okay. Okay, here comes the crit seeker. 8 little BBs. Let's see if anything gets through armor criticals or headshots. No headshots that I can see and no through armor criticals, so that's good. Just going to be a scattering everywhere. But that's going to be 17 points of damage so far. All right, there you go. A little bit all over the place, just not the head and center torso. And by the way, the leg shots are nixed because she has partial cover, so that's only going to be 5 hits, so that's actually 14 points of damage. All right, Shadowhawk's up. It's going to fire its SRM-5 with the MML. This is going to need a 7. This is the large re-engineered. Medium re-engineered needs a 9. SRM-5 needs a 10. 7, 9, and 10. Misses. Misses. Just gets the medium re-engineered, which does 6 damage, which is exactly enough to give her a piloting skill check. Good thing her piloting skill is low. I shouldn't have said that. Okay, where is this going? Coming in on the left side. A 10 is going to be, I believe that is the right arm. It's actually going to hit the opposite arm. See why they wanted to take those side tables away? You always hit the other side. All right, last but not least, it is the striker going to attack the condor. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. Forgot the striker still had to go. Couldn't need 11s. Missed. It wanted something in the rear, by the way. That's why it went for that. It's attacking in the rear. Okay, heat-wise, Ember is going to have a ton. Okay, I realize I'm being an idiot. If the streaks don't fire, they don't generate heat, and they don't use ammo. I just realized that when I was tracking my ammo. Okay, so it's not so bad for Ember. It's just 4 heat. That's all for her. It's just funny sometimes the things that just slip your mind. We're in the physical attack phase, but nobody can scan. I'm kind of jumping to the heat phase, whatever. Nobody can scan Ember. She's 5 hexes away from everybody. She needs to make her piloting skill check actually at the end of the weapon attack phase. And she has a piloting of 3, so she just needs a 4 to stay standing. Got it. Okay, good job, Ember. So technically, if I survive one more round, she could get off of the map, and then I think we win. Yeah, now that I'm reading the rules, so this game ends at turn 8. So if I can survive the next round, and then Ember can exit in round 8, if that Enforcer can't get out of here, which I don't think it can, we would win. So Ember just technically needs to survive the next round, which shouldn't be an issue. Holy cow, I think we might actually win this. You know, this whole craziness up here is actually going to save me because that Enforcer could not move anywhere. It just couldn't get away from anything. And that's going to prevent it from getting off of the map by turn 8. And we could win. I mean, Ember is going to have this whole area up here to jump to, and she could play keep away. I mean, she could basically jump in the heavy woods here and nobody could attack her. Steve, this is for your memory. And we tie. And we lose. They win. Just got to play keep away from this. Even if they scan me, as long as I'm within 4 hexes of the edge, so she's just going to go somewhere around here, she'll be able to get off on turn 8. I mean, you know, this is one of those things where I ask myself, well, should they just not have ever attacked anything until they finish their scans? I mean, like, it's such a freak thing that it ended up taking him out. You know, it's like, should they just have not attacked the entire mission? I guess that's part of the charm of it. Do you risk destroying the units you're trying to attack? I tried to help them by not attacking assets, but in the end, it actually, that this whole thing up here just completely screwed them. Basically, at this point, because we would say that them as a player, they know that this is the case. They're going to try to attack Ember, but I think she's just going to jump right there, and it's going to be almost impossible for them to get her. All right, let's do the movement. I think I can do this one real quick. It's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and just slow down the Enforcer. Just guarantee that it can't get anywhere. I don't like this with the assets, by the way, because like I just feel like they really are fodder, and I don't have to care about them, so I can do stupid stuff like this. It just feels weird to me in BattleTech to play this way. Like, well, I don't care about the assets, so I'll just have it go stand right in front of a unit that could kick and destroy it. It just feels weird having disposable units that I don't have to consider in any way. I don't know. You know my thoughts on this. The Enforcer, I was going to think about jumping, like taking over a little and just jumping it into here, but I forgot. It's enforced withdrawal. It has to move toward its escape edge. It does want to attack Ember. I mean, it can technically do that when it's done moving. It could just do something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could do something like that where it can torso twist and attack her. It's about the best I can do for it. All right, I think Ember then in that case is just going to go hiding. There's no way for them to get to her. All they can do is attack the Condor. That's all they can do. There's no way to get a line of sight on her. So that, I can't believe we're going to win this. And now I wonder, like, did I do something wrong with the Enforcer? But I guess that's what I should have done. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm kind of doubting myself now. I guess I should have turned the Enforcer around and made it go this way, because once Steve was dead, they secured that objective. and then they could have turned and just run off the board in turn 4 and won the mission. And that's probably what I should have done, but instead I'm going to end up winning. If you call this winning, I mean, we lost a great name pilot. But yeah, anyway, I won't, there's really no reason to play this out. I mean, they'll attack the Condor, probably destroy it. But again, because it's an asset, it makes no difference. The Shadowhawk could try to go here, but like I said, it's still going through these 2 hexes. That's going to block line of sight completely. You know, I have this card, and like I never got to change the card, because if you read what it says here, if there is an enemy in one of your unit's rear, there never was. If there are any enemies with no armor, there never were. I don't know how you handle assets with this. And if you lost more PV, but they never lost any PV. So I never switched off this card, and that made them never use the bombing, because it just says only use it if you can hit structure. I guess I'll move this back just for a second and just see, because technically it could have hit structure in her arm. So I guess I'll give them a chance with this bombing. Maybe they could have done something crazy and really hit her. But they need a 6. That's the target, and then it scatters. Otherwise, nothing was in the vicinity, though. So if they don't get a 6, it doesn't matter. But if they do, they get 3 groupings of damage. Let's just see what would have happened. Okay, they got it. Let's see where these would have gone. That would have been left arm, right torso, left torso. I'll mark those, but that's not going to matter. Okay, that stripped her right torso armor. Got a little bit on the left torso, a little bit on the left arm, but would not have changed the outcome of this game. She would not have, nothing would have gone critical and destroyed her or anything like that. Okay, well, I'm left here kind of doubting myself. I'm sad about Steve, but then I'm also wondering if I played the aces right, or if I should have turned them around after turn 2 or 3, or whichever one that was when Steve died, and just said, hey, you got it, just run off the table. I don't know. It just seems so obvious that they would go after Ember and just try to complete the scanning. I think they were still going after this thing too. So it's kind of weird, because they have one objective they haven't completed and one objective that they could complete. And so I don't know. Do you, are you supposed to do that? I guess I don't know. I don't know. Help me out here. Let me know what you think. We are going to come away with a victory, though, based on what happened. So we will be successful, but we will have to hire a new name pilot. We're going to have to repair the Victor, which is severely damaged. We're going to have to repair Ember, and we're going to have to figure out where we go from here. I mean, luckily I can hire a pilot because we get the Victor back. Here I was sad we couldn't get salvage. Meanwhile, I'm glad they don't get salvage. I'm sorry if I sound flustered. I kind of am. That was just a weird battle, and I just can't believe we pulled it out. All right, so nothing would happen on turn 7 except maybe this Condor would die. Ember will jump off the map on turn 8, which is legal. That will deny them the scanning objective, because they're not going to get 2/3 of our force, and it will deny them the observe and report, because they're not going to get 50% of their units off of the map. So great. So we'll have some points. I think it might be time to maybe buy a Stinger or a Wasp and just get something else out here we can use. Let me know what you thought about this battle. Tragic, but pretty fun, I thought. I mean, these two are super impressive. I want to get my hands on one of these. Super awesome mechs. As always, I'll do the between tracks stuff. Going to be an interesting one this time. And then I'm very curious what the next mission will be. I think it's one where they tweak the rules a little bit. I've seen people talking about it in the Catalyst Discord, so I got to read it and see what's going on. I try not to spoil myself. I want it to be fun and a surprise when I read these new tracks. So I'll really be looking forward to that. Feel free to put some memorials to Steve in the comments. I can't believe he won't be in Snowblind now. I mean, I guess he could be. I can do whatever I want, but I'm trying to play it like they're going to do this and then they're headed to Snowblind right outside of the Draconis Combine. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with my rambling, and thank you for putting up with my panicked, flustered narration of this mission as things just went south so quickly. We'll see you on the next one.